Are we far too boring and fat for civil war? Or will there be some kind of civil war?
No way.
Tell me about it. What do you think? Which, of course, we're not advocating, but what might result 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 months from now?
There's a great American political tradition, of course, of civil war, secession, things like that. I think that men are so starved of like actual masculine activities that we almost have this like ultimate fantasy of just like a civil war or something popping off. I think that's why media like, The Walking Dead, this sort of like post-apocalyptic media is so popular. We as Americans, we almost still crave the frontier. We want the wasteland. We want to conquer the unknown. So I think that's part of the reason why it's so quick to just like, oh, Biden said he's going to raise taxes. Let's have a civil war, something like that. But the reason it won't happen is because when the Civil War happened, when the War of Northern Aggression happened, you had parallel institutions on both sides. You had institutions in the South, you had elites in the South. It was truly this sort of like different cultures that were, under the same flag. And so it was much easier to sort of form that divide and understand what's happening. Whereas now the divide is like what? Suburban, rural areas versus cities. There's no like clean line. Also, like, what are we even going to fight the Civil War over? I mean, typically when we have that rhetoric, it's because like they took Aunt Jemima off the syrup bottle, or they said Mr. Potato Head's going to be gender neutral. Like, people have 401ks, people have money, they have houses. They're not willing to take up arms, especially too, because what are you going to be, 45 years old and you're going to go clear neighborhoods with your friends? No, I mean, people are out of shape, they're fat, they're not proficient marksmen. It's just fantasizing, but it's not actually a real thing that could happen, especially too, because we don't have, like I said, any power. There's no leadership, there's no organization, there's no institutional power. If something like that happened, it would either be crushed by Washington or perhaps like some other power would come in and fill the vacuum, but it would certainly not be advantageous for us. Things would only get worse because like J6, it would give them an excuse to do what they fantasize in private conversation about doing, which is putting people in jail, droning neighborhoods or whatever. It would not be good at all. And that's not to say like, don't do anything, just keep voting, but it's to say like, just be smart, don't advocate for something that's going to get you killed. Like, for example, that guy, I think in Utah or Montana or something, he was this baby boomer blowing off steam on his Facebook a few months ago saying, I'm going to get Joe Biden. And they no-knock raid him at like 4 a.m. They kill him. Because, there's no shortage of that. I mean, if you tell the FBI like, hey, you can go like kill white Christians in the middle of the country, you're going to, lines out the door for that kind of mission. So it's not a serious solution to the problems that we have. And so generally, I think it's a waste of time to discuss, but there's of course an incentive to discuss it because it's edgy. It's sexy. We're talking about overthrowing the government. And it's like, sure.
So how does this end then? I know you're not a prophet, but...
Well, I would think that either we successfully take control of the government again, which is possible. People think it's impossible. It is possible. Or you could see a sort of de facto balkanization. Like, look at what happened, for example, a few weeks ago at the border, where SCOTUS said that you can't remove or you can't stop the feds from removing the razor wire or something like that, or you can't stop them from putting it down there.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that Greg Abbott was openly defying a SCOTUS order. And then you had some, nerds come out and they were like, well, actually, technically, it's not that, so it's okay. But they believe that it's in defiance. Greg Abbott ostensibly believes that it's in defiance, and power is all about perception. So if people are perceiving, wait a minute, there's a conflict here between this state, which is a border state, and the Supreme Court, what's going to happen? And you saw all these other governors signing on to it. Now it seems like it was all just theater, of course, and they're still busing illegal aliens into the country. But that is an interesting sort of peek into what the future could look like, where you've got governors who are saying, I'm just not going to listen. We have people pouring into the country. I have the ability to secure the border. You are not meeting your constitutional requirement to seal the border, and so I will just do that for you. And if you want to send troops in to try to stop my state troops from enforcing what you should be enforcing, good luck with that PR crisis, especially in an election. You've got Joe Biden coming up for re-election. He's already very unpopular. You really want to risk those optics. And so maybe they'll back down. And so that could be a situation where regions in the country, which are governed by Republicans, begin to exercise more autonomy over the state, over the regions. And the federal government is still nominally, the one in charge. But in terms of who's actually making the decisions, it becomes more transferred to those local and to those state levels. And then maybe in a long enough timeline that would lead to, not secession, but that sort of, balkanization or something.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.